tarp, sleeping bag, wilderness.
Recording in progress here.
There's a cinema on the boat. We saw Lightyear, which was great fun.
Hi everyone, welcome back to the Reading Queens podcast. We are here to talk about books once again because it is our favorite subject. So yeah, we're gonna talk about some favorite reads of the summer with two more of the Reading Queens. I'm excited to have them here. I'm Valia. Hello.
I'm Kristin.
And I'm Clari.
Yeah, and the three of us are gonna talk books, and yeah, that's it. That's all we're going to talk about. No, I'm just kidding. We're going to talk about our summers first because Kristin and Clari are back to the podcast for the first time since our little break. So I want to hear what you did over the summer, Kristin. Tell us something fun.
Actually, our family likes camping, and so we did a little bit of camping this summer.
Nice.
It's one of my favorite things. My kids actually like it less than I do, I've discovered. So
wow, okay.
That's fun, right? Surprising. And then we also went to visit some family over the summer, which I always really enjoy.
Mm-hmm.
And I started building a bookcase in my office. So we moved into this house about a year ago, and I'm very excited to finally have a bookcase and unpack my books.
Oh, yeah.
Cool.
That's going to be awesome. I'm excited. Do you guys go camping like outside of your state, or do you stay to your state? Like, where do you go camping?
Well, we're in the state of Oregon, and Oregon is beautiful. And so we could camp in Oregon the rest of our lives and just love it.
Okay.
So yeah, mostly we're in the state of Oregon. If we were to venture onward, we would probably go to Washington State, maybe
okay.
Canada, and Idaho would be our favorite spots. Or maybe Northern California, Redwoods.
Okay, yeah. So when you say camping, I just have to clarify this. Is this like you're in tents and sleeping outside, or you're in a camper, or you're like renting a cabin in the woods? Like, what is camping?
Okay, so camping for us, for years and years, we did tent camping.
Okay.
That's what we did. And my husband, he likes to backpack in. So, he'll be out in the wilderness, but I like just to tent camp and then hike in that local area. But in the last couple of years, we got a trailer, which for us is super fancy. And it had a nice mattress, but we ended up selling it a couple months ago. So we're back to tent camping.
Okay. So that's like more real camping, because I have people that like, when they say camping, they literally rent like the most fancy cabin in the woods, and they're just like, this is camping. I'm like, no, this is just vacation. Like,
my kids did a couple of camping trips this summer with friends, and they didn't even have tents. They had tarps.
Oh.
They had a tarp and a sleeping bag, and that's what I did in college. Tarp, sleeping bag, wilderness.
I mean,
Clari has a look of horror on her face.
I'm just thinking there's not that many places here that you can get away to the wilderness. We did a lot of camping as kids, and it's something we actually haven't done that very much with our kids, but certainly when I was a kid, we did a lot of camping. And my husband does a lot of camping and hiking into random places with work. So yeah, we've got like 6 tents. I don't know. We should really use them.
Yeah, you should. I'm a forest person, so if I can escape and hang out in the woods, I'm and if there's a lake nearby, bonus.
Yeah, that's like
I do have to have a tent I can stand up in, though. I can't deal with little tiny camps.
That's high class.
That's fancy. My goodness. I guess standards. Okay. Everybody has standards.
Me. A stand-up tent.
Yeah, I mean, sure. Well, that's fun. Clari, what did you do over the summer? Clearly not camping.
No, well, we did a road trip. We rented a minibus and piled the kids and my husband in it, and we took the boat from the Netherlands across to the UK, and then we did like a big road trip round, visiting all sorts of family and friends and all sorts of things. In fact, we saw Alison, who is one of the other queens on the podcast, and that was great fun. And
that sounds awesome.
And then my parents-in-law filled the minibus with a whole, like, the contents of their attic that were my husband's, and then we brought it all back.
My goodness.
Oh, okay. Is it still in the bus?
Thank you.
Yes, we do now all have all of his childhood records. So we
Oh,
have
that's
like
cool.
Kylie and random like fairy tales on record that the children are delighted to listen to.
Are they really? Because that sounds cool.
They like the fairy
Yeah.
tales. The Kylie, they're not so sure about.
That's cool. How long is what is it, the boat ride from Netherlands to the UK?
There are a number of different routes. It's about 6 hours during the day, or you can do it overnight. So we went over day and then we came back overnight, and they do it slightly slower. So it's about 8 hours coming back.
Which did you prefer?
I don't know. I mean, it's kind of fun being awake and being able to go around and see different things on the boat. And we went to the cinema. There's a cinema on the boat. We saw Lightyear, which was great fun. And there's restaurants, and you can go and stand on the front of the boat and watch it. And you can also just chill out and people watch and sit and drink a coffee and whatever. But it's also quite nice it's exciting to have the room and be able to sleep and have that is also quite fun. So
it's not like
how
a
many
boat,
people...
it's a cruise ship.
Yeah. I'm like, how many people were on this boat?
It's really primarily for freight. So it has a lot of lorries and a lot of truckers on it. And when we were on it, it's also has a lot of families and things because it is used for holidays people. But it's not as big as a cruise ship, but
well, I know, but the way you were but you say boat, and I'm thinking like a ferry, across from one island to the next.
It is more like a ferry. It's a roll-on, roll-off boat,
but it has a cinema and
it's got like 20 seats. It's not a huge cinema.
Still, like it's still bigger than just the boat that I was picturing in my head.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was thinking like the ferry that you take from like Brooklyn to Manhattan in New York. Like that's what my mind was picturing, and I'm like 6 hours on that. Like that's torture.
I have no idea what that's like, but and you drive in and you park and then you go upstairs and you don't go back to the car until you can go off again.
Okay.
And it has rooms because you can sleep in it obviously. So it has cabins. So it has like 2 floors of cabins, and then there's a floor of, communal areas and restaurants and.
Yeah, we want pictures. We need photos.
Yeah, I need to be able to see this, like
visuals, please.
I'm not sure I took any pictures of the inside of the boat. I might have some pictures of us all standing on the outside of the boat, but I'll see what I have.
Yeah, just give me like an outside. Maybe like Google it and see if you can find one, because now my mind is just like it's not reconciling what I'm thinking with what you're saying.
Yep.
I'd stand a line from the Hook of Holland to Harwich. Sorry, get that the right way around. If you want to Google it.
Wow. Okay. Well, I mean, it sounds fun anyway. I like road trips a lot, so to be able to like visit a bunch of people and family and all that stuff and just do like a whole thing, that's really fun, especially over the summer. Clearly I did not do any of this. You guys know, you've heard this on the podcast. I did nothing this summer, so it's fine. Not jealous at all. No. I'm ready.
Are you planning to go somewhere to see the autumn leaves though? Don't you normally go and visit the leaves? No?
You know what? I usually do every year, but this year my friend is actually going to Disney World during the time that I would come see her. So, I mean, I guess she can be selfish like that. It's fine. No, I probably will drive up north in Arizona because we do have like forests over here. Not like as many trees change leaves. There are some if you drive, like past Sedona and like to Flagstaff and stuff like that, but I don't know, maybe I'll just do like a day trip with my friends and just like go take some pictures and stuff like that. But it's like in Arizona, I feel like you have to really catch it on time. And if you don't catch it, then you're just stuck not seeing anything. But
I wonder, how far are the Uintas from you?
The what?
Uintas?
I don't know what that is. Is that like a town
I'll send you info.
in Arizona? What?
Like a forest in Utah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know any of the names. Are you kidding me? Yeah, I don't know, but I was very bummed about that because I have to see autumn leaves, but I've honestly just been looking at reels. All these people posting autumn reels. I'm like, okay, this is as close to cozy vibes as I can have. I will take it. But speaking of cozy vibes, cozy reading, I did some of that over the weekend. How do you like that
Awesome.
segue into reading? Okay.
Yes, very nice.
So we're talking our favorite reads of the summer. This is the last episode that we're gonna like specifically dedicate to favorite reads. But I'm excited because I really like listening or hearing people talk about something that they absolutely loved. So Kristin is gonna start us off and tell us what was her favorite read of the summer. Let's go.
So I got an ARC copy of The Hunted by Jeff Wheeler. It's coming out, just came out in September of 2022. I've read a lot of books this summer, and I didn't really love a lot of them. So this one, so when you have just a stellar book, it stands out. So it's called The Hunted. It's book number 2 in the Dawning of Muirwood, Muirwood. It's the name of the series. So for people who don't know Jeff Wheeler, his biggest series could be a tie between his original Muirwood, and then he has another series called the King Fountain series. Actually, I might just call it that, the King Fountain. But the first one is The Queen's Poisoner. That one was huge. I loved that series. I've read, I think, pretty much everything he's written. Not everything, a lot of it. And I read The Druid. I really liked it. And Jeff is a strong middle book author, and The Hunted is his middle book. So I think this series might end up being his best selling of all time.
Okay.
It's a really good story, and he hit on a trope, not necessarily by accident, but it wasn't necessarily on purpose. It just was the trope that fit the best with the story. I know because I am a fellow author stalker, and I asked him because it's basically loose allies or loose friends. They're on the same side, and then they become enemies to allies. So they're loosely acquainted, and then they become just basically mortal enemies. And then at the end of book 2, they are aligned. And that is always just a really fun arc to read. And it's dual POV between them, the male main character and the female main character. And they both have really interesting arcs and paths and goals. And a lot of times when you're reading an enemies to lovers storyline, it's the reason why they hate each other seems forced or shallow. And this one, it was built into the story in book 1. So it feels very, very real, and you're not sure how they're going to reconcile that, because it is, it's built into the world, and they're very core beliefs, and they get on opposing paths. And both of them, you see why both of them are on those paths, and you hope that they can reconcile. And then as you're reading the book 2, which is The Hunted, the plot that he takes the reader on, like the storyline, it is, for me, it was unexpected. And he hit on a lot of things that I just really, really love in stories. And I don't want to give spoilers, but you know how you have, every reader has those things that they really enjoy, set pieces or amulets or elements in the story that come up, and he hit on those. And it was just, for me as a reader, just a really, really delightful read. So yeah, that was it.
That's cool. Yeah, you love his books. We know this on the podcast. You talk about them all the time, which is really cool, because you know how like sometimes you really love an author and then they'll come up with like a new series and you're like, nah, okay, maybe I just love the series, not the author. So it's like really cool to hear about an author who consistently like delivers, you know, like that's cool to me. But maybe I'm a nerd, so it's fine.
I read my first one of his books last week.
Which one?
Stormglass.
Was it The Queen's Poisoner?
No, it was Stormglass.
Oh, Stormglass.
And I enjoyed it. So
that one
I will be reading more.
Yeah, that one is unusual in that I think it's a 5-book series, and it has more Charles Dickens vibes in it. Most of his other stories are a little more medieval, so Stormglass is a little different. And that one also hits more on, okay, sorry, tangent. It hits on friend like tropes. It's really very much about friends, and it has romance too, but I love it that it has these two strong best girlfriends who come from different sides of the tracks, quote, different sides of the tracks. And they become really close and would fight for each other through thick and thin. Like, I just think that's such a great story. Yeah. Okay, I'm done.
Okay.
That's not the book I'm going to talk about. I'm actually going to talk about 2 books.
Okay, go ahead.
I read quite a lot over the summer as well. And the 2 books I'm going to talk about I am going to talk about them. The Tenets in the Tattoos by Becky James and Of Stormlarks and Silence by Constance Lopez. Get the name right, Clari.
Oh, cool. That one's on my list of to read. So I'm excited to hear about it.
I really enjoyed it. It's her first novel, and it is really good. A lot of it you can guess. She's the missing princess that nobody knows about, and she's on this revenge quest, and she's going to go and kill the prince, or that's what she's trying to do. And oh no, they fall in love! Surprise! That's not. That much of a spoiler.
I actually know a lot about that book because I helped her with stuff. But
oh, cool!
I'm excited to read it.
That she has some really nice things in there. So, like, each land has a particular animal. So she's the princess. I can't remember what her country's called, but the royal family of that land is bonded to the stormlarks, which are a type of bird. And so she has this bird that keeps following her around, and it's not a bird that's native to where she is in the other land of the prince who's taken over her country. And so she keeps nearly being found out because there's this bird there that shouldn't be there. And everyone's like, oh, what's that stormlark doing here? Which is quite funny. But the thing that I absolutely loved about this book was the ending. I'm not going to tell you what it was, but it was, I mean, it was so good that I went back and read the last 3 chapters again after having finished it.
Aww.
Because it was just it just tied, it was so perfect. And I really enjoyed it. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, and it is a standalone, right? Because she's doing standalones and like set in the same world.
Yeah, they're linked standalones, so it sets up the story for the next couple, but it's not out yet, so I assume that will be able to be read without having read this one. But you shouldn't. You should read this one. I really enjoyed it.
That's awesome. Okay, talk about your other book.
Yeah,
now.
the other book, the Tenets in the Tattoos, is this book really surprised me. I did a number of reading challenges over the summer, and one of the I'm not going to tell you what the prompt is. I had one prompt left that I had to read to fill in a bingo board, and I heard that this book filled it. I'm not going to tell you what it is because it's sort of maybe a minor spoiler, that particular thing is in the story, and it's not anyway. And the main character is a swordsman. He's the defending of the king, and you sort of assume going into it that it's going to be another fantasy with lots of battles and things, and it isn't, and that pleasantly surprised me because I'm not fond of blood and gore, and it's a portal fantasy, but it works the other way round. So he's in the fantasy land and he comes through the portal to Earth, and then he's trying to work out, and it's a quasi medieval land with magic and all those things, and then he's coming to Earth, to somewhere. Actually, no, it's based in the UK. She's a British writer. And he's then trying to deal with cars and the television and a microwave. And he's been waited on all his life. And this person who he thinks is really high, she's bonded to the king in his world. And suddenly, so he's waited on and has servants and doesn't have to do anything. And suddenly he goes back to her house and she does her own cooking and she does her own cleaning, and he's never had to do with this and trying to deal with it. Not only the fact that he's never done any of these tasks, but suddenly he's got all these magical electronic things that don't work the way he's expecting to, or just he doesn't understand. So that is really quite clever, and it's done really well. The other thing I really liked about this is it has like a fated mate, soulmate connection, but it's not romantic. So you have your I can't remember what she calls it now, but you have your bond mate, and the main thrust of the story is he's trying to he's spent his life searching for this person. I think they're nearly always cross-gender, but this person is meant to be a reflection of you, and you're meant to be the perfect partner. But then you marry somebody else, so that it's a non-romantic relationship that everybody has. So everybody has their husband or wife or partner, romantic partner, and then they have this bonded person as well. So interesting family gatherings. But he spent his life searching for this person and he hasn't found it. And that is causing various problems in his life because he hasn't got this person. Anyway, this person is then, he meets her and he is incredibly confident and arrogant, and he judges her incredibly superficially and does reject her, and then there's all these problems. He then goes back to Earth to try and make things up with her, and he's trying to make things up with her, and she's in a snit with him, and then it's Earth and all these things, and he tries to stand in front of a car, and all sorts of other fun things happen. He thinks it's a beast that he's got to stop, and what is it, and how are the people in it, and he's got to rescue them.
That's funny.
Yeah, it's quite funny.
That's cool. I mean, is that a standalone or is it first?
No,
in
it's
series?
First in series. There is.
Okay.
I think there's 3 or 4 other books. I'm not sure.
Okay, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
It like when you said the whole car thing. Have you guys seen Enchanted? You know, when the prince jumps on top of the bus and he's like, "I've slayed the beast. You can leave now." It's really fun.
Yeah,
anyway.
it has some of those vibes in it.
That's cool. That's fun.
He tries to protect everyone from a TV show.
Okay, yeah. I'm sold. This is good. Make sure you send me like a link to it so I can add it to a link so people can just click on it. Because I will link these books for you guys so you can find them easily if you want to read them.
I will do.
So I've already talked about my favorite read of the summer. And I talked about what I was reading last week. And I actually ended up... So I'm still buddy reading The Stardust Thief with Tess. We're like 100 pages in or something like that. I still have no idea what to expect from this book. So we will give you a report after. But I did end up reading The Undertaking of Heart and Mercy over the weekend. It was like over a 400 pages book. And I read it in one day because I just like couldn't stop. It was so good.
Those are the best
ones.
And it was...
Yeah, it gave me like all the cozy feels, but with like enough, I wouldn't say horror. Like they have kind of like zombies in it, but they're not really zombies. I don't know. I don't want to like explain too much, but it's like it read like a cozy fantasy, you know, but it also made me cry. So that was great. But Tess talked about it. That was her favorite read of the summer. And so I got it and I read it and it was great. So my next read, because I feel like I have to get back to my mystery thriller things, is I'm reading Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. And this is like a thriller with a family reunion on this like island. I'm just going to read the back of the book. So if you guys want to know what it is about. But after years of avoiding each other, Daisy Darker's entire family is assembling for Nana's 80th birthday in Nana's crumbling Gothic house on a tiny tidal island. Finally back together one last time, when the tide comes in, they will be cut off from the rest of the world for 8 hours. The family arrives, each of them harboring secrets. Then at the stroke of midnight, as a storm rages, Nana is found dead. And an hour later, the next family member follows. Trapped on an island where someone is killing them one by one, the Darkers must reckon with their present mystery as well as their past secrets before the tide comes in and all is revealed. And it gives you like a wink to Agatha Christie's And There Were None, which is my favorite Agatha Christie and one of my favorite books of all time. So I kind of love the fact that it's like a wink to it, but also kind of not, because anytime I read anything that has like any kind of And There Were None vibes and they tell me beforehand, I end up being disappointed. So I'm really hoping that this book doesn't do this to me, but I'm only like 3 chapters in so far, and the writing is really approachable. I really like it, so I'm hoping that it ends up not disappointing me. And when I say disappointing, like it doesn't have to, like I will probably figure out the twists and turns because that's just what I do, but it needs to be done in a way that's like well done, you know? And that's, even if I figure it out, if it's well done, then I'm like happy, but typically that's not what happens. So I'm just like, stop telling me and then we're none, and then I won't have high expectations, okay? Anyway, that's my little rant for the day. Kristin, what are you reading next?
No, I like that book idea. I was just like Googling a little. Look, I like the book premise. Yeah. So I was Googling it a little bit. Okay, so No surprise, what I'm reading next is The Betrayed, which is book 3 of The Dawning of Mirwood. And the reason that I have it is because I just harassed Jeff until he gave me access to it. Thanks, Jeff. So I have a thriller I'm reading right now. So once I'm done with that, I'm going to read. Actually, I'll probably go back and read The Hunted book 2, and as brain prep, because I just really enjoyed it so much, and I want to get the full binging experience. Valia, stop laughing.
What? I'm not laughing. What thriller are you reading right now?
Oh, you would ask me that. I don't even remember.
Okay. It must be great. Anyway.
Yes, it's excellent. I'm reading a lot of thrillers and mysteries because I want to write more of those. So that is what I am reading. Okay. And another book that I also have that I'm looking forward to reading, and it is a different one, and it is historical, and it's called The Opera Sisters by Marianne Monson. And it's based on the true story of the Cook sisters who smuggled valuables out of 1930s Nazi Germany to finance a daring secret operation. So, yeah, historical, based on a true story. And I'm excited to read it.
Yeah, that sounds good.
I'm kind of all over the place with my high fantasy, thrillers, historical.
That's okay. That works. Clari, what are you reading next?
I'm reading 2 books. I'm going to talk about 2 books again. I'm reading These Violent Delights, and I have no clue who that's by, which is Romeo and Juliet in 1920s Shanghai with monsters.
It's Chloe something.
Chloe Gong?
Her last name. Maybe.
Gong. Yes, you're right. Chloe Gong.
Yeah.
Point for me. And a point for Valia. Yeah, so I'm reading that. I've got that out of the library. And I'm also reading Star Mother by Charlie Homework.
Oh, cool.
That's a good one. That one is a really good example of mythology fantasy. And I thought she got that lore, like she used an existing lore to create hers, but it's 100%, as far as I know, it's
Charlie original.
A self-made world. Yeah, it's original.
Cool.
That's
cool. I've only just started it, and it seems fun so far. So it's about she is the Star Mother. She volunteers to give birth to the next star, knowing that no Star Mother ever survives the birth, except she does. And then what happens to her next?
Okay. Wait, it's an adult?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
All of Charlie's books are actually adult.
Even Paper
Are
Magician?
they really? I thought Paper Magician's with young adult. No? Okay. Well.
Nope. They're all adult because her characters are all older than teens, and they all have jobs or they're in their careers. And it's not usually their first love interest. Okay. But they're clean, like they're PG rated.
Yeah.
But they're adult.
Okay. Maybe, I don't know. I think I've only read The Paper Magician, the first 2 books, maybe? I don't remember.
Yeah. So that one hers are categorized in both, but technically they're adult. And if you ask her, she would say she's a clean adult fantasy writer.
That makes sense. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's cool. I will go ahead and add all of these in the description so you guys can take a look, check out for yourself if you want to read any of these books. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and end it here. Be back next Wednesday for a new episode. We have a different subject than still books, but a little bit different than just our favorite reads. But I always love hearing people talk about books they loved, so I'm good with this. But yeah, before you go, make sure to give us a follow on your favorite podcast platform. And you guys, how many times have I done this and I can't do it correctly? Make sure to give us a follow on our favorite podcast platform, on your favorite podcast platform. I'll get there. And leave us a star rating or a review. And go ahead and check out our Instagram at Reading Queens Pod. Give us a follow there. We're a little bit more active. And we also have a Facebook now. All the links will be below. You are good to go there. So yeah, that's it. I'm going to stop talking before I keep messing things up. So we'll talk. You'll hear us talk next Wednesday. Until then, see us online. Okay, bye.
Bye. Thank you.